Welcome, everybody, to the Pricing with Confidence Reframe webinar series. This is our first kickoff of 2025, and part one is about communicating price increase. I'm Carlos Garcia, and along with me is Hector Garcia. We're both the co-founders of Reframe, and we're super excited. I know many of you came to Reframe last year. We're going to talk a little bit about how do we continue the work in the mission to helping the accounting profession rebrand and save it from itself, as Hector likes to say, and how to become more forward looking, more innovative and creative, be sought out to be the professionals and stay ahead of all of the changes and all of the things that we want to make sure that we differentiate ourselves from the marketplace. So let's talk a little bit about this webinar series. So this is part one of 10 series that we're going to have throughout the year, and they're going to take place every fourth Friday, exactly at this time, 1 p.m. Eastern, leading up to our signature event, which will be a live, physical, in-person conference, which we like to call event, and it'll be taking place in Miami, Florida, and more on that. But each webinar session will either have a guest or, at the very least, Hector or myself talking about the theme of this year, which is around pricing with confidence. We're going to talk about all things that relate and that are in alignment with things that affect your pricing and the success of your business, the success of your relationships and your conversations, not just pricing itself, but everything surrounds it, your marketing, your positioning, your selling, your communication, your business model, all things that surround it, because it's a huge component of the success of your business and your firm. So real quick, because I know everyone likes to ask in the chat, can we get access to the slides? Hector will likely paste the link to the slides if you want to watch with us live or if you want to see this recording together with us. But we will also post the recording to Hector Garcia's YouTube channel. So you'll be able to see this again in case you have to leave a little bit earlier for whatever reason. And all resources will be added to the chat as Hector already shared it. Now, what are we going to talk about today? First, we've introducing this podcast series. There is going to be a CPE issued at the end of this. Hector will be asking some polling questions throughout the entire hour to make sure if you want to receive your CPE. So make sure that you participate and you answer those polling questions. Hector, anything to add around CPE?
Actually, if you go to the next slide, refresh and go to the next slide. You have to refresh because I just changed order of it because you skipped it at the beginning. Yeah. So we're gonna ask 4 polling questions. You have to answer 3 out of the 4 polling questions. As long as a log shows you logged in 50 minutes or more, you will get a 1-hour CPE via email. It will be one email with all the CPE information, and it'll be within 10 business days of this webinar. So last year's webinars, the Reframe webinars that we did also to promote the live event in Miami, didn't have CPEs. This is new for 2025. These are going to have CPE. Go ahead, Carlos.
Thank you, sir. So what else are we going to talk about? We're going to talk a little bit about what is Reframe, some of the live events that will be happening throughout the year, and our community. We do have a coaching community that has a membership so that you can be in the Reframe mode every single month, and we have a lot of great things to share on that. Of course, the main theme of today's conversation, which is communicating the price increase, knowing that we're in the month of January. Is an opportunity where the tax season comes in, a lot more activity in the world of accounting increases. But with that, you're probably rethinking how to have conversations with clients and maybe retooling and assessing, what kind of value you're providing them. And is it an opportunity to have a conversation about, the services and the investments that they're making in the services that you provide to them. So Hector will go into some of the art and the science behind how to implement that effectively. As you know, Hector Garcia is one of the co-founders of Reframe, happens to be my brother as well. He's been a QuickBooks user since '96, accounting firm owner since 2008. He is the host of his YouTube channel, which has a tremendous amount of content and material on all things QuickBooks, technology, AI, ChatGPT, amongst other great thought leadership content like Reframe. He's a co-founder of the Right Tool company. I know many of you are Right Tool power users as well. And his mission, and I share this with him, is to save the accounting profession. And how we're going to do that is by rebranding the profession to be sought out after as the most creative, innovative, and forward-looking of all professions. And I'm Carlos Garcia. I am a sales and business coach for financial professionals. Been in the world of finance for the last 15 years. I have my own company, Exceed Sales, and I'm a co-founder with Hector for Reframe, but I also support accounting professionals with leveraging and elevating their technology platforms so that they can be more efficient, but also become more effective with their communication and with their sales abilities. And my mission is to really help others become the best version of themselves. And that's why I'm so passionate about this mission and this work that I'm doing with Hector together. And so a little bit about Reframe. So Reframe is our signature event will be taking place in Miami, Florida, Coral Gables to be specific. And it's in the Lowe's Hotels, a beautiful property right in the middle of an excellent city that's surrounded by restaurants and so many places to go, all walking distance. Weather's going to be beautiful because it's going to be right in the beginning of November, right after hurricane season. And that's a little bit about the property. You could see from the view and some of the beautiful skylines. I don't know if you want to add anything else, Hector, about the property. I know that we did a lot of work researching it and
No, just go. Let's go
why we
to.
did it.
Let's run through the details and let's get with the content.
Right. And then, so it's the attendance is 150 people. We have 137 deposits to date. The event price is $2,000. And
100,
if you
138, Carlos. We just had one just came in. Sorry.
fantastic. If you want to be part of it, go to www.reframe2025.com. So let me tell you a little bit about the virtual conference in the US store. So we want a lot of folks that didn't get a chance to come last year to our influential Conversations for Accountant event, had a little bit of FOMO, and I know that because of maybe travel and other reasons, they were unable to make it. The good news is that Hector and I later this year are going to redo last year's event, Influential Conversations for Accountants, but in a virtual format. So more to come on that. So you'll have the opportunity to participate at least virtually. We actually recorded all the keynotes from all our presenters last year. So we're going to do sort of this immersive experience where we'll live play the keynotes, then live facilitate some of the exercises that we did. It's going to feel like you were there, of course, without the experience of physically being there, but at least from the ability of learning all the concepts and taking away and implementing some of these ideas. The other thing to think about is we have 1 day events that we're also doing for those who are interested in wanting to learn more about what we did in the live in-person event and you want the live experience. We are negotiating with a partner right now that is open to giving us their space. And that partner is ADP, who was one of our experienced partners last year. And so once we lock in some of the details on that, we will very likely host these events in New York, Chicago, LA, Nashville, Dallas, Houston. Those are our preferred areas of destination. None of it's locked in, but more details to come on that. And so just stay tuned and we'll let you know once we solidify that. All right. And so our next piece is how else can you interact with Reframe? I know many of you are already part of our society. If you're part of our society, throw some love in the chat. We really appreciate you being part of our online membership community, which we launched earlier this year. And what does it include? It's really just for you to stay connected with like-minded professionals like yourself who can access more information, more resources, more material, more learning content that you can work on your own, or you can attend our live rethink sessions that Hector and I co-design along with some other thought leaders in the space that can add value and contribute to this community, and as well as a monthly mastermind that I facilitate on a monthly basis just to help us have conversations about what are your obstacles, what are your successes, what are some best practices, and it's really specifically catered for accounting professionals. We have already over 40 hours of recorded content around pricing, mindset, sales, marketing, brand positioning, technology, leadership, and other content like that. And so if you're interested, there is a link on the bottom if you want to have a conversation with me to learn more about the community. I give you a free tour and you can learn more about that. So these are some ways that you can interact with Reframe, whether it's virtually or in person, or if you want to be part of a community that's going to be part of a bigger movement than just a one-time event. So with that, I'm going to move it over to Hector. So he's going to talk about our conversation for today. Hector, over to you.
And so let's talk about, so today we're going to talk about communicating a price increase. And we're going to teach you a framework. This is the framework that I've used for years that allows me to lower the level of anxiety that I have, or that I used to have, especially when I first got started, the level of anxiety around having to tell someone, a current client. We're going to focus on current clients. It's a 10-part series. We're going to go deep into all sorts of things, into selling to new clients, into price options, pricing psychology. We're going to spend 10 hours in these free webinars just going deep into that. And then we're going to grab the best of that, and we're going to create practical examples in the society for society members. And then we're going to grab the best of the practical examples for the society. And then we're going to build the practical in-person transformative examples at the event in Miami. So I'm going to share the results really quick. It looks like 34% of you is justifying the value that you provide. 30% of you is confidence to price high, and 26% of you fear of losing clients with high prices. So those three things, lack of confidence, the need to justify, and fear. Think about this. Confidence to price high, the feel that you have to justify the price, and fear of losing clients. These three things, overcoming your psyche, messes with your performance, messes with your ability to stay calm, clear, and objective. And it messes with your ability to help your client first, and be confident that the price to help your client is the price to help your client. So you have to live this dichotomy where you are both here ready to serve, but also ready to accept that serving them has a price or a minimum. Most accounting pros, and when I started, it was the same. We want to help, period. That's what we want to do. We are here to help. We're on a mission to help. But sometimes we forget that there has to be a price to helping. And many times we end up helping and underpricing to our detriment, because we want to be nice, because we want to help our clients. And I think it's important to look at this a little bit more objectively. So this is the framework that to think about what are the triggers for a price increase. So think about it this: you are never increasing your prices because you want to make more money. Okay. Yes, you're going to make more money if you increase your prices, but that's never the ethos. That is never the justification. That is never the reason why you are increasing your price. Even though it may be, or it could be, it can never show up that way. So when you think about increasing the prices, it's simply because one of four things have changed: the work, the firm, the client, and the strategy. The work, the firm, the client, and the strategy. The work, there's an increase in workload, volume, complexity. Client is growing. Out of scope requests, right? The customer's asking for a lot of out of scope requests. By the way, out of scope requests are not a bad thing. Out of scope requests are not a bad thing. I'm going to say it again. This is going to be a meme. This is going to be a short. Out of scope requests are not a bad thing. When your client has an out of scope request, they are inviting you to play a bigger role in their lives. When a client has an out of scope request, they are inviting you to have an impact or a deeper impact in their business. When your client gives you an out of scope request, it is because they need you to survive, to navigate, to deal with the struggle that they have. We should all feel that we're being complimented by a client out of scope request. Now, our response is not, yes, Mr. Client, we're going to do every single thing that you ask us to do out of scope. No, it's going to say, I can absolutely help you with that. This is the price. This is the change in our engagement. Or, Mr. Customer, as a firm, we have a policy that we don't do this type of work. Or, Mr. Customer, we generally don't do this type of work in your part of engagement, or we typically don't do that type of work in this type of engagement. However, I'm going to take care of it now. But just so you know, next time this happens, I'm going to have to change or rearrange our engagement so I can prepare my team and my resources to serve you when you need it. We are here to serve. We want to serve, but we have to put ourselves in the position to serve. So again, the stigma, the out of scope request is the customer being evil somehow. That needs to disappear. And also a non-standard process being required. So you tell your client that they have to log in into your TaxStone portal to upload the receipts, but they tell you, no, 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 no. You, accountant, have to log into my random Dropbox or Google Drive and get it from there. So here we have a standoff of process, right? They have a process, we have a process. Now, if you want that client, you have two choices. You can say, Mr. Client, it is our policy that we only follow that process. Or we can say, Mr. Client, we typically don't do our clients' portals. I'll take care of it for this month. But just so you know, if you want us to continue to change our process to work with your system, we can do that, but there's going to be a change of engagement, right? And that's kind of that's how we approach every single conversation that's out of scope request. So that was the first one, the work, the change of the work. Second one is the firm. So the firm could have increasing costs, right? The economy, the inflation, that could happen. Or the firm has decided to invest in new software, new training, new infrastructure. Maybe you're bringing in some new employees. Maybe you are bringing in employees that have a different level of skill. So the firm configuration is changing, which is triggering the need for a price increase. Again, it's not because you want to make more money. It's because the firm or the work has changed. Now, the third one is the client. The client could become increasingly more demanding, and I just don't mean out of scope. I just mean generally speaking, in terms of how quickly they want stuff, or how they want their work, or how they want you to behave around them, or how they're behaving around us. That's becoming increasingly less pleasant, right? And not every client needs to be fired when they become less pleasant. You just have to tell them, without saying you're less pleasant, that the relationship is changing. So you can say something like, Mr. Client, I remember 3 years ago when we first got started, that every time we asked you to fill in this information, you filled it in within the day. And every time you asked a question, we gave you a response within 24 hours. And every time that we made a mistake, we had a conversation about it, and we discussed it and we resolved it. But now, when we ask you to upload information, you get very irritated, as if we're making you do more work that you're supposed to. And the way you answer us, or the way you talk to us, it makes us feel that we're doing something wrong. Or every time we ask you to upload a document, you don't do it, you forget to do it, or you don't prioritize it the way you're used to. Or you get irritated with the answers that we give you, because they're either incomplete or not the ones that we want. So we want to make this work. We would love to understand, what did we do wrong that made this relationship go in the wrong direction? Again, at no point in time we're saying, Mr. Customer, you're becoming less pleasant. Now, it's possible that a person just became unpleasant, period, or something broke so deeply, you made a mistake that was so bad, there was an expectation gap that was so big that there's no way to salvage this relationship. Then you have to just be mature enough to know this, understand this, and move on. But many times the client is becoming an a-hole or whatever. It's because something went wrong in the relationship across the way, through the journey of that customer. So the client has changed. Therefore, a price increase is triggered. And the fourth one is the strategy could have changed, right? So we have had a value mismatch. Maybe we priced wrong from the very beginning for a very long time, and all of a sudden we can no longer increase it by 5% or 10%. There's a big value mismatch, and we have to realign, right? Or as somebody earlier commented, is we're way under the competition, right? The market is in a different place that we are, and we're just trying to catch up. And also your positioning, maybe you no longer want to be positioned as a low-cost provider. Remember, almost every single one of us starts as an intern at some point, as an unpaid intern. Okay. Regardless of what age you are, how much experience you have, there was a point in time where you gave away your time for free just to learn, or for so low that is almost like free just to learn, and you're no longer willing to do that, right? So if somebody's in college or just recently graduating, zero experience, they're willing to do that, and that's a great deal because they're learning. But I've been doing this for, if you count all the time that I've been using QuickBooks, is literally 25 years. But I've been a practitioner for 16, and I can tell you, I do not give away my time, my attention, my knowledge, my experience for less than X amount. And that minimum threshold comes with where we are positioned. So your firm, every single day, is being repositioned as less of a low cost provider than before, because every single day you are smarter, you are better, you have more experience. So strategically speaking, you might be at that point in time that you have to reposition yourself and no longer be the low cost provider you were yesterday. And by the way, 2 years ago, I was charging, I'm just going to say a number, no context. I was charging 1,000, and today I'm charging 1,500. Let's just say, don't worry about if it's per hour or whatever. I was a low cost provider 2 years ago compared to what I am now. And I think today I might be a low cost provider 2, 3 years ago when I start charging 2,500. Again, it doesn't matter the rate or anything. I'm just telling you that the fact that the number is changing. I was a lower cost provider before. So if I want to reposition myself no longer as a low cost provider, I have to accept the fact that I was at some point a low cost provider, and there's a repositioning strategy. And so I'm going to go to the next slide. But Carlos, if you want to chime in, you can chime in.
Yeah, I think that these are all great, and I'm seeing in the chat a lot of people are like, "Oh, I should write that down." I need to just learn how to say it right. And this is a journey. A couple of things. One is there's the internal journey of like accepting your value and setting boundaries with yourself too, of like knowing that what you bring is value. And like you said, Hector, I think people don't realize that we are constantly reinvesting a lot of the profitability and the earnings that we make out of serving clients in ourselves and becoming better equipped to give decisions faster. And some of that cost should be passed on to the client because as a result, you're adding more value. You're actually creating more value for your clients. And so just really being able to really understand the why behind increased prices and being comfortable and okay with it. Because I think that there's still that uncomfortable feeling of like, oh, I could come off as needy, or I trying to make money out of someone. Like they feel weird out of charging more because maybe the people pleaser in them or something. So I think it is a journey, and some of it is being able to just internally recognize that you are investing in yourself. Therefore, you are growing the value that you create. Thus, that cost needs to be passed on somewhere. Just like when Netflix adds more things to their library and adds live events and makes the channel and the platform and the experience a lot better, or gives you exclusive access to other things, every year that you get that annual email saying our prices are going up, or we're now going to introduce an ad plan. But because you've had so much loyalty and you know that they give you more value than what you pay for, you don't really mind that price increase, and your clients won't mind either. So I wanted just to kind of add some of those comments, Hector.
Perfect. Okay. So I want to make a really important point that needs to it's to convince you that price increases are actually not for you to make more money. It is for you to protect your firm. And number one, we have to maintain financial health as a business because we have to lead by example. What kind of message does it send for you to be an advisor to a small business owner and advise them to not make money or underprice? Would you ever do that? And sometimes we don't eat our own dog food, right? We tell our customers they need to raise the price, or they need to be more profitable, they need to do this, and that, but we don't do it ourselves. So we have to be the most financially healthy company in the entire ecosystem of vendors and service providers that your business owners have. Your business owners are going to buy things from tons of companies. They need to feel that the most financially healthy company I deal with is my accounting firm because they lead by example. Second, you have to support your team. You cannot have burnout. You cannot have team members that are not getting the raises where they're supposed to. You have to attract talent. Your customers don't want you to change your team members every year. They don't want that. They don't want to build a brand new relationship with a new person every year. They don't want that. They don't want to explain things. They want the person and the context and the relationship to stay there forever, which means you have to invest back in your team. You have to not just retain the current talent, but if you're going to bring new people, they need to be as good or feel as good, as talented as your existing people. You also need to preserve service quality. Never cut corners. Avoid cutting corners because you have resource constraints, or not innovate, or not deliver premium services. That has to be table stakes, right? Not cutting corners, investing in resources and innovation, premium services. And most important thing is, you do not want your team to be working at 100% capacity. You want your team to be working at 75% capacity at all. That's the biggest fallacy in professional services, especially knowledge workers, is that we need to optimize and have 100% utilization and be at 100% capacity because that's efficient. No, we should be running at 60, 75% capacity. So when our customers come in and go, hey, I had this big problem that I need your help with, and I trust you, and you're the only person I trust for this, you have to be able to say, absolutely, Mr. Best Customer, we can do this. We built capacity for this. You know, Ron Baker says this all the time, is if you love your dentist, if you're working with your dentist for years, and the day you have a toothache, an intense toothache, you call them and say, Mr. Dentist, I have a toothache. And they say, come back in 2 weeks. How are you going to feel about that dentist? No, every single dentist in America, doctor, emergency room, when you have an emergency, they have to say, come right in. We have space for you. Then you figure out whatever the financial arrangement looks like to have that emergency. But feeling that you're working with a service provider that does not have the capacity to help you when you most need it is the absolute opposite of the positioning that you want to have in the market. Also, you want to ensure business longevity. You have to ensure your firm thrives and builds resilience against the economic pressures or unexpected challenges. I want to give you something to think about. Imagine for a second that during the pandemic and the PPP programs and the ERC programs and the SBA loans and all the craziness that was happening where accountants were needed, imagine if accountants would have said, no, we're at maximum capacity. We can't help. This is not part of the scope. You know, like, we are supposed to be paid for this and that. You're only supposed to do monthly bookkeeping, and that's it. Imagine if our entire industry would have said, we're at maximum capacity. We can't help you. What would have happened economically, catastrophically, to this country or Canada or the other countries that had programs like this? Accountants were very much needed. You know what we did? We said, absolutely, we got the capacity. We'll help you. We're on this together. So do you want to build a firm that's going to throw your hands in the air and say, I can't, the economy, this and that? No, our firms need to be resilient. And that's why we need to be profitable. And of course, we want to attract and retain the ideal clients so we can set clear expectations, filter out clients who undervalue our expertise. So price increases are meant, once again, to protect your firm. Now, I want to talk a little bit about numbers for a second, okay? So a typical brick and mortar firm spends about 20% of their revenue in the direct production team, the accountants, the bookkeepers, the tax preparers. About 10% in their office managers, customer service, about 25% in infrastructure, that's rent, internet, hardware, that sort of thing, about 15% in direct costs, software, supplies, materials, and the profitable ones, by the way, have a 30% owner's profit or partner's profit. Okay, so if you look at the slides, I build, basically a really simple P&L or what an ideal profitable firm should look like. $1 million in revenue, $150,000 in direct costs, $100,000 in admin payroll, $200,000 in direct payroll, and $250,000 in infrastructure costs. That's what an ideal brick and mortar firm would look like. The more modern firms, the remote firms, the distributed firms, actually invest a little bit more in their direct payroll and less in infrastructure. And because of the distributed remote nature, there's a little bit more in software costs. So the configuration changes a little bit, but the target for a profitable firm should still be 30% partner profit, right? With a P&L that looks sort of like this on $1 million in revenue. Now, my first question to you is, if I was running a polling question, there's no polling question on this, put it in the chat, and a customer comes to you, a typical customer comes to you and says, how much profit should my business make? What percentage, as an advisor, you would tell your business owner that it makes sense for them to make X percent in net income for their business to function? Put it in the chat. As an advisor, typically, and I know this varies industry by industry, right? A manufacturer will be different than a retail store, but typically, a typical person that has invested their life savings into a business, the revenue is closer to, let's say, $1 million. What percentage should be their target net profit? What number would you advise? And again, you could do a range or you could do a number, but I bet you that after we go through and 150 people answer this and we poll professionals, particularly accounting professionals, we are going to arrive at a third. We're going to arrive at 30%, right? That's the magic formula I give most business owners. I say, look, out of your revenue, a third needs to go to payroll and direct costs, and another third should be infrastructure, marketing, rent, your trucks, right? And then the last third should be profit. That's the general high-level formula. So if you agree with me, right, that this is the type of advice you would give to a business owner, and we're talking about profit after the owner pays themselves the salary that it would take to have somebody work full-time in whatever function they have, right? So how much would it cost to have a CEO in there? 150,000. Okay, that would be the your business owner salary or whatever. After that, what would make it worth investing the life savings into a business and everything, all their attention, all their lives into a business? We would all agree that 30% is the right number. So if you agree with me on this, and you look at the structure on this percentage structure, you are pretty much on the same line as me, that this 20% direct payroll or 25% direct payroll is what the formula should be. So if that's true, the price of your services should be roughly 4 to 5 times the cost of your direct team, 4 to 5 times the cost of your direct team, because you agree with me that 30% should be the net, and you agree with me that formula that we put together for a typical P&L, it's between 20 to 25% of payroll. And by the way, you can go look at the 10K public financial statements from Deloitte, from KPMG, from all the big firms, all the public firms. This is about what it is, right? It's between 20 to 25%. Payroll is between 20 to 25% of the revenue. So there's no accident as why the most profitable companies in the world of accounting firms, their direct payroll is between 2 to 5 times. So that being said, then how do we backtrack this? How do we reverse engineer this concept into figuring out a price? So this is the way I think of it. So let's say you have a scenario where a specific client occupies 10% of a single team member's time. Again, no other team members involved. So a single team member's time, it occupies about 10% of their time. Now, I don't want to do it in terms of hours because hours gets a little bit muddy, but 10% of a 40-hour-a-week employee is roughly 4 hours a week, right? So 10% of a single team member's time. That means that logically, that team member could only possibly take 10 clients like that, right? So if it's one client takes 10%, that means they can take 10 clients like that. So instead of thinking about what percentage, you get the client and go, how many clients could this particular employee manage or handle if it was the exact same scope and time and all that stuff? So that's pretty easy then, because then we can backwards engineer. We can say, all right, if my one employee that costs me 75 grand a year, this is taxes, benefits, all the stuff, can take 10 of these type of clients, and I want to follow the 4 to 5 times formula, then the price for the job for this customer, again, this is to hit target profit. We're not even talking about the value you create and all value pricing. We're not even having a discussion around that. We're just talking about like, can your firm be profitable? Your price needs to be somewhere between 2,500 and 3,125, period, because that's 4 to 5 times the direct cost of the employee times the maximum capacity. Now, does that mean you need to price exactly like that? No. But what it means is that if you underprice that client below 2,500, that means you're accepting a transaction that takes you to a sub 30% business profit. And that's the most important thing. I'm not saying you must do it this way. I'm saying if you do it this way, be aware of what you're doing to yourself. Carlos, you want to chime in or anything?
No, I mean, I think there are a couple of nuances, Hector. I don't want to get into semantics, but I was actually researching a little bit about net profitability. And of course, that when you ask the question, hey, where should your profitability goal be? It all depends on your strategy around profitability. If you're looking to grow at a fast pace, of course, you're going to reinvest a lot of those profits. So it's probably going to be a lower target. If you're in a retail environment where you sell high volume, your profit's going to be lower. So I would just like, let's stay away from the semantics and stick to the 30% rule. I think the second concept around this formula that you're using, Hector, about like, you should be pricing 4 to 5 times of what your employee gets paid. It's also reshaping some guidelines that I've read from some other great authors like Donald M. Miller. He talks about if you want to have high value employees, they should be creating value for you 4 to 5 times of what you pay them for your business. If not, then that's not really a profitable employee. So we also have to take that into consideration, that we need to have productive employees that can create value for your firm.
Exactly. All right. So just a quick polling question. Are you excited about coming to Reframe in Miami, November 2025? So we have a live event. It's called Pricing with Confidence. We're going to talk about, again, the best of what we learned from our private group called the Reframe Society, which contains the best of what we discuss from these webinars and the monthly podcast, the audio-only monthly podcast that Carlos and I are recording. So if you go into YouTube and you search Reframe Society, we have a monthly podcast that is both him and I sitting, where we're literally planning the content that we're going to be covering in society the next month, and also a recap of sort of the highlights of what we've been learning by working with other accounting professionals to price confidently, and all the other things that we do at Reframe. It's not just pricing, but strategy and that sort of thing. So we have in the YouTube channel, we're going to have some shorts for like the highlights, and we're going to have a 30 to 45 minute a podcast audio only that we'll do every month. And then on top of that, we have this webinar series, which is actually more like teachable type of content. So, all right, let's move on to some practical, tangible examples on how to prepare yourself for a potentially awkward price increase conversation. Okay. So I want you to think that every single time you're going to have a pricing conversation, especially when it's a price increase, right? That there's going to be 5 type of responses. Well, there's technically 6. The 6th one is a non-response, but from the actual reactions or responses, you're going to have 5. 1 is a shocked response. 2 is a negotiation response. 3rd one is a skeptical response. The 4th one is an emotional response. And the 5th one is a threatening response. Now, the type of response could be linked to the personality of the person that you're dealing with, with how they are, or it could also be how they're feeling at that moment, or it could also be what they understand and the context of that conversation. It doesn't matter which one it is. One's not better than the other. Actually, it doesn't matter how they react. What matters is how you react. So you need to anticipate these responses. In many ways, you got to find an accountability partner, if someone in your mastermind group, another colleague, and go, hey, help me practice reacting to my clients' responses to price increases. Probably one of the most valuable skills you can learn is learning how to react to responses. Okay. So I'm going to break them down for you. So the first one is a shocked response, right? They're going to say something like, wow, that's a big jump. I was not expecting this. And some people just naturally just do that, right? Just shock like that. And some strategically do that. So depending on how you react or how they expect you to react, by just appealing to the shock factor, the logic, that this is such a big jump. Wow, unexpected. This is coming out of nowhere. That's really there to bait you and for you to go, you're right. You're right. That shouldn't be, or you're right. That's shocking. Or you're right. It's too much, isn't it? I screwed up on this one. That's what they want, right? So I'm going to show you how to reframe a reaction, a shocked reaction like this. So it's 3 steps: acknowledge the reaction, highlight the value, reassure. 3 steps. So it'll sound like this. Or Carlos, maybe you come up and then I will tell you, you will respond exactly like this. And I'll say, hey, Carlos, after everything we talked about, the conclusion is that this month we are going to change your services from the $900 a month to the $2,500 a month as per our conversation.
Wow. This is a big jump. I wasn't expecting this.
I understand this can feel like a significant change. This adjustment reflects the additional value we have been delivering already and some improvements we're making as we speak to support your success. I would love to walk you through exactly how these changes will benefit you and your business. That's simple. Now, does that mean, will Carlos answer, shut up and take my money? No, no one does that. But by doing that, you're standing firm and you're not capitulating or reacting to their reaction. The next one is, Carlos, this month, we're going to start the new service that we discussed, and it's going to be $2,500 a month. So you will no longer be on the $900 a month plan.
Is there a way we could stick to the old price or meet somewhere in the middle?
So here's a 3-step formula: stand firm, offer options, emphasize on fairness. Carlos, thank you for letting me know that. I've carefully structured this pricing to reflect the enhanced services and the results we're going to provide. If you would like, we can explore different levels of service. Maybe we can lower what we're doing to align with your budget. This pricing will ensure that we can deliver the quality you've come to expect. Ensure, quality, expect. You're hitting 3 words that are going to hit the logical side of the brain much harder. Will Carlos say, shut up and take my money? Probably not, but we're standing firm. We're standing firm, standing firm. Next one, we have a skeptical response. So Carlos, as we discussed via email, this is the conversation we're going to have about changing the engagement from $2,500 a month to from $900 a month to $2,500 a month. So that's going to be the new fee that we're going to charge for the bookkeeping services.
Okay. What am I actually getting for this increase?
So here's the process. Be specific, use examples, reassure. Let me show you what's new. I've upgraded the specific tool and process, and I've added this other specific service and feature to better serve you. For instance, the new reporting feature we've introduced saves you hours and hours of manual work, and we made that investment for our most premium clients like you. giving you deeper insights, especially for you to make decisions faster. These updates are designed to make real impact in your business outcomes, and we will have it no other way. Emotional response. So Carlos, as I mentioned to you earlier, we're shifting to this new service that's going to be $2,500 a month. And I know it's a big jump from the $900, but starting January, we're going to be using this service.
Wow, Hector, from 900 to 2,500. I mean, I feel like I've been a loyal client for years. This feels kind of unfair.
It's a 3-step process to answer that. Show empathy, focus on partnership, offer dialogue. So this is my response. I truly value our relationship that we've built over the years, and especially your loyalty. These changes ensure we can continue supporting you at the highest level. Let's discuss how we can tailor the services to meet your evolving needs. Again, you're not going to be reading off a script. This is the gist of what you're going to answer. You're going to have to make it your own, right? And this is why it's very important to have an accountability partner, to have somebody to brainstorm with, to have someone that you can practice with, because you don't want to practice this with live customers, right? These are high stakes conversations. Want a mastermind, you want to have role play. This is what we do at Reframe in Miami. This is what we do at Reframe Society. This is what every single evolved professional needs to be doing at all times, practicing this. So let's do the last one, Carlos. Carlos, as we mentioned earlier, we're going to shift to this new bookkeeping service plus. That's $2,500 a month. So you no longer will be paying $900 a month, but we will still be serving you and doing the same work for the amount that I mentioned.
Oh, wow. I don't think I can continue with you at this price.
So here's the 3-step formula. Stay calm, highlight the opportunity, stand firm. I completely understand this change doesn't align with your current needs. I would love to discuss how we can adjust our offering to ensure you're still getting the support you need. We made these adjustments to sustain the quality of service that we provide, which is critical for the success of both you and us. Okay? All right. So let's wrap it up with a framework of communicating a price increase. This is a framework that you use either in a face-to-face conversation or in an email. It shows up much better in an email. So I'm going to fast forward real quick to a slide. And I have a LinkedIn article that I published where you can actually read the expanded version of this. But the price framework, let's say it's an email, will look something like this. Dear Carlos, thank you for trusting Quick Bookkeeping and Accounting for your monthly bookkeeping needs. To continue providing exceptional service and value, we're updating our monthly bookkeeping services from $500 a month to $900 a month effective January 1st. This adjustment allows us to invest in advanced tools, technology, and training, ensuring more efficient processes and deeper insights tailored to your business. It also enables us to stay one step ahead of industry changes, providing you with the latest strategies and cutting-edge solutions. We are committed to delivering high standards of service and dedicating more time and attention to your needs. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to call me at my cell phone. Thank you for your continued trust and partnership. So this is the really short version. I have a longer version in LinkedIn that I published a couple of days ago in preparation of this. But how I arrived to this is with the PRICE framework, PRICE. So positioning, resources, innovation, commitment, and excellence. Now, you want to hear something funny? I took my price increase letters and put them through ChatGPT. And I said, Mr. ChatGPT, grab how I respond to how I've done price increase letters and build a framework around it. So people don't just copy and paste my email. So people see what is the general structure. So it extracted from it a 5-step formula. And it also figured out what word matches. So it's PRICE. So it's like super cool to actually grab, something that I've done for years and sort of backtrack into the framework I was using that I didn't even know it was a framework. So this is how it works. So we have positioning. Higher prices positions you as a premium service provider. So you have to position yourself as a premium service provider. The clients you want are the ones that perceive higher prices and services and prioritize expertise and quality. Your pricing reflects your ability to resolve complex problems. Resources, investing in better tools and training, streamlining your processes. A lot of these things is for people to feel the difference, right? So it's not everything has to be justified. You have to communicate. You're going to feel the difference, or maybe they already feel it. Innovation is staying ahead, right? Investing in cutting edge technologies, equipping your firm to solve problems different. Again, these are the points you have to hit, not verbatim, but conceptually. The last one is commitment. We want to commit to you. We want to work with clients that are committed to the work, to the quality. We want to dedicate more time and attention to you. That's part of what we communicate. And last thing, quality and excellence, right? We do not take shortcuts. We only provide excellence that requires investment in every single step of the process, in the materials that we use, in the training systems, in the employees, in the software, everything. We want to keep high levels of standards, and we might have to offer a satisfaction guarantee to send a signal of quality and increase the which will increase the risk of refunds. That's why we need more profit, so we can comfortably give away these value guarantees.
Love the letter. It's short, sweet, and focused on the customer. And yeah, it takes time, but I think these are very practical and easy to respond, right? I'll just reinforce that this is not something you want to go and add 100 emails of all your clients and just copy paste this letter and just hope and wish and pray that they're not going to leave you. This is something you want to do either in small increments with the clients you know and trust, and also have accountability partners to practice this with so you can be prepared for what kind of responses or questions they may have. And to your point, this last slide, I think, is a great place to bring your clients when they have additional questions.
Okay. So the last thing I recommend you do is to manifest the price increase by making it public. In other words, there should be a web page that you direct people to with frequently asked questions where you actually thought about every possible question people are going to have and the answers. Just the exercise of going through what are the questions that people are going to ask and how I'm going to answer, putting it on the website is a huge leap forward to prepare yourself. However, I think that if you go through this process and you make it public, you actually are making it a matter of policy, not a matter of preference. So preference is that the fact that you want to make more money. Policy is the fact that your firm needs to be profitable, right? All the points that we made earlier. So have at least these 9, right? Why are you increasing my prices? Can I keep my current pricing? What additional value am I receiving? Will this impact my services that I currently receive? How does this compare to what other firms are charging? Can I adjust my services to fit my budget? How will this benefit my business? What if I refuse and keep, quote, the old service, as we did as an example, and I will likely leave your firm due to these changes? Are you willing to lose a client because of this? So go through the process of answering these 9 questions plus more, make it public, then have a pricing conversation after you gave the customer a chance to look at it on the website, and you're going to be able to stand firm. 1, because you're prepared, and 2, because it's a policy. It's done, right? Like the customers don't really have a choice. So anyway, if you download the slides, I have a link to a LinkedIn article where I break this down. So this is sort of the written printable version of this entire conversation. I have samples of the letters. I have an email version that tells the price, an email version that teases the price increase leading up to a conversation, actionable steps to prepare for a price increase conversation. You definitely want to visit this article because it complements the webinar series. And also, if you're feeling fun, I took that article and I took the slides and I ran into Notebook and LM.
Okay. Anything below that, you're basically accepting less profit for the same work.
So it's like a built-in safeguard against undervaluing ourselves. I like
So basically, it's an AI-based podcast around this presentation. So if you're feeling like you want another sort of expanded version of this, you can listen to that conversation. So anyway,
Hector, if you have a quick minute, there was a last second question asked, and I thought it was a good question because
sure,
it could be a
sure,
common concern.
let's do it.
How would you word a price increase when you know someone cannot afford the increase? I keep putting off a price increase for a client because I know they cannot afford to pay me more, but they are super underpriced already, and I really wish I could continue supporting them.
Okay, I think you're right. You really wish you can continue to support them, and that makes you a good person. And I think that you should accept the fact that you want to help them and you wish you could help them. But have you given money? I'm going to tell this to whoever wrote this. Do you give money to every single homeless in the street that you encountered? If you have, like if you are the one person that literally gives money to every single homeless, then God bless you. But we choose. Sometimes we help, sometimes we can't. Okay? Sometimes we help, sometimes we can't. And as the really wise people from the airline say, put your gas mask on first and then your kid. You cannot help your kid if you can't breathe. I know you wish you can help them, and you are going to help a lot of people, but your firm needs to be profitable. Your firm needs to lead by example. And if you are not the right fit for them, help them find another right fit. Or tell the customer, hey, Mr. Customer, when you're ready, we will be here, arms open, excited to work with you. However, our strategy has changed. We can help you when you get to this point. You don't have to help every single person out there. Okay. That we just have to accept that. That's it. Okay. And if you're part of a network of accounting professionals of all walks of life, there could be someone, maybe they're earlier in their career, maybe they don't specialize like you do, maybe they're not experts in other areas, maybe they can help them. You could be their hero by saying, hey, I can't help you, but I know someone that might be able to. And then you're helping two people. You're helping your client and you're helping the other person get work. You're helping two people for the price of one. That stuff is going to come back to you tenfold.
Great answer.
All right, everybody. Thank you very much. We'll stop the recording and I will put this in YouTube. We'll see you in the next one.